got to turn it off. It is Monday, the 12th of November, and it is Neil Young's 73rd birthday, I understand, and this is a good one for me to speak on. I'm listening to Harvest this morning, celebrating. I come from a musical family, but I'm the punk of the family. When my dad was giving lessons at home, I really wasn't that interested. You know, I wanted to play, but I wasn't interested in practicing. So consequently, when I finally got up the nerve one Christmas to ask for a guitar for Christmas, my dad didn't get it for me. He bought a guitar and gave it to my younger brother. I was devastated, of course, but he was right in his thinking, because he said, I ain't gonna waste my money on a guitar for you. You ain't gonna practice. He was right that I wasn't going to practice like a musician. I was not interested in learning my scales. I'm still not sure I know my scales. Probably know some of them. Anyway, I would sneak and play my brother's instruments because I wanted to play. I wanted to express myself. I didn't give a damn about being the greatest in studying. I didn't care. I still don't. So, the very first song that I was able to teach myself once I figured out D, E, and A, and G was Heart of Gold by Neil Young. And this is an important album to me. It came out in 1972. I bought it with my hard-earned money. I was working. I'd started working at 14. Worked most of my life up until recently. And Neil Young is still important to me. Very soulful, heartfelt. On the surface, he and I would probably seem different, but I think that Neil and I are probably very much alike. He doesn't take bullshit. He says what he means. He does what he's focused on. And he doesn't get caught up in a lot of maudlin, emotional crap, you know, where people want to get in his way. I understand that when you have a focus. So happy birthday, Neil Young. I've got several Neil Young albums. I don't have anything collectible. I don't collect Neil Young. I love him. Saw him three. Well, the one that really counts is I got to see Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young in concert, maybe 1974 in Houston, outdoors, with Jesse Colin Young and the Beach Boys opening. And with all that going on, and as amazing as that was, as amazing as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young were, when Neil Young took the stage by himself, you could have heard a pin drop. There's something about his presence and something about how important what he's doing is to him, and he just transformed the place. It was so powerful. It's one of the most powerful performances I have ever witnessed. One man and several tens of thousands of people had them in the palm of his hand. Happy birthday, Neil Young. Today is also Booker T. Jones of Booker T and the MG's birthday. Happy birthday, Booker T. Does he figure into my music history? Well, of course. Can I remember the first time I heard Green Onions or close to it? I sure can. But even more importantly, after that, when he put out Hip Hug Her, that was one where I thought, oh, this is something innovative. This is something different. This is new. This is really good. So happy birthday to Booker T. I got a surprise gift CD from Michael P. Dawson, who has a cool channel in the YouTube vinyl community. He sent me his stuff before, and he said he left a note saying, "Thought you might enjoy hearing my very first release," and I sure do. This is Michael P. Dawson. This is funny. He's really into insects and wildlife. His photography online is amazing. This is called the Brand New Bug Concertos, a takeoff on the Brandenburg Concertos. And then the subtitle is Papa's Got a Brand New Bug. Humorous, but this is really good. It sounds like it was done on a synclavier, digital instrument that Frank Zappa brought to our attention. I've only played this all the way through once, but I love it. It's very, 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 it's moving all over the place. it makes me want to go and listen to his later recordings because it's obvious those things are a progression from what started here. And this is really cool. Zappa fans, find out about this. Michael P. Dawson. Thank you, Michael. I'm getting into the Can book. Folks want to know this is where I'm at in it. Written by Ermin Schmidt, the keyboardist, and Rob Young. It's a fascinating read. I highly recommend it. It's great because it's telling you the story from the perspective of the band. Some things are kind of surprising, but actually they're not really surprising because it makes sense. Like, for example, Can was never focused on having a lead singer. The lead singer just ended up happening. The story, the way they explain how Malcolm Mooney first and then Damo Suzuki ended up singing for them. Interesting. Another thing that I have to say I totally relate to Malcolm Mooney's story here, where he just ended up in the company of Can, never was sure of himself, always felt like an outsider, and yet at the same time was one of the most important early members to shape what Can became with the rhythm. Ermin Schmidt, as well as the others, talk about it. It's also makes sense that their story is nothing like the classic rock band story that everyone thinks there is, which we're going to form a band and make it big. They were musicians and young people. The connection to politics back then, the fact that their parents were Nazis coming out of World War II, some of them, it all plays in here and it fits, Can was never overtly political, but the music was revolutionary. It still is. This is a wonderful, fascinating book. I've been listening to the music, obviously, because it's so good. Have I put stuff away? Are there any Can albums sitting down here? I may have. Well, here's one that's still sitting down. Yeah, here's a couple. I got turned on to Can while I was still in high school, 16. First thing I heard by them was this. Now, even though I had heard a lot of stuff, when I heard this, I was a kid. I was biased. I was looking for a certain thing, and this wasn't it. So my first reaction to Can was real negative. It's like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And my friends who were Air Force brats who had just moved back from living in France, they knew better, so they just were patient with me, It really didn't take long. I love this album. Here's my original copy of Future Days I bought in 1974 as soon as it came out in America. Played it for everyone, took it everywhere with me, like a Miles Davis album under my arm. This was me back at the time. It's like, y'all motherfuckers don't know about this, do you? Yeah, I had a chip on my shoulder. Not that it's right or cool to have a chip on my shoulder, but I knew I was right. It was like, all of y'all listen to Ted Nugent, I'm listening to Can. You don't know shit about what's going on. Now, the other thing that I found fascinating about this album, because it's very special, it was recorded on the same day that Genesis started recording Selling England by the Pound. Same month, rather. They were both recorded in the same month. And that album is one of my most favorite albums of all time. It brings me to tears to this day. So Can, if you don't know the band, find out about them. If you're interested in the book, I highly recommend it. This is fascinating. Fascinating. I completely relate to how Can talks about how they make music. In a lot of ways, it's how I make music. I can say honestly that I relate to so much of that. There's so much tension in Can. They fought all the time about the music. It wasn't personal. They fought about the music. In all of my bands, the most interesting ones, including the ones I'm in now, there's tension, but it's creative tension. It's not personal. I've been in bands where the personal tension broke things up. But the bands that are most interesting, there has to be creative tension. There has to be fighting. If it's all smooth and agreeable, then nothing gets created. It's the push and pull of the forces of nature that make things move. That's what I got to say today. Ellen, I did receive 6 tapes from Ellen. Ellen is an Alan Holdsworth freak and a music fan. I love what he shows from his collection online. Very eclectic, the kind of stuff I like, okay? And he sent me some tapes. Blown away. I've only listened to 2 so far. Art Zoid Live. Wow. Eugene Chadbourne. I haven't listened to that yet. Naked City. John Zorn. This is my shit. I listened to this all the way. Alan Holdsworth live in 1993. San Francisco. Thank you, Alan, for sending me your personal tape. Apparently he dubbed himself another, but this is the original. People, I just don't have the words. I am honored. I do. This is a dream come true, the way this is happening in my life. And shellac, I listen to some of this too. I do like Steve Albini's work. I do. I do have one shellac record. Another person I'll shout out by name is, I've noticed a person named Dave Sanderson is literally watching all of my videos, apparently vibing a lot with what I say. Apparently he's an author or a musician. But I feel you, Dave. You leave comments where it's like, yeah, you can relate. We're humans. You know what I'm saying? We're humans. So thanks, people. My house fund is coming along. I'm almost there. I'm being a little lazy. I need to make some new entries on my blog site for t-shirts. I've got some neat t-shirts. Let me get that done today, all right? Once again, thank you for being cool. The last thing I'll notice about comments is, I noticed that the spammy, robotic comments, well, that's what I call them, that are like people that are trying to be snarky with me or start some shit with me. They come at night. I've noticed a lot of times they come at night, in the middle of the night. Like it's a spam bot, where they're hoping to infiltrate or to infect my comments while I'm asleep and maybe try to start some shit, and I wake up and see a bunch of stuff, but it doesn't work. It's not working. I caught one last night, and it was like, this is spam. This isn't even a real human being. How horrid that mankind is so cold that he'll do anything just for a profit. I know it's been like this since the beginning, but I just still gotta say it. It's like, sanity says, have you noticed what we do to each other? Is this really okay with you all that are doing it to others? We need peace. We do. We need this message. We need people saying this and doing this more than we need what these fucking politicians and world leaders are doing. Trump, oh my God, every day. What a piece of shit of a worthless human being who is in the highest office of our country. How can sane, intelligent people continue to make excuses for this travesty? Music is the healer. Happy birthday, Neil Young, 73. I'll probably play some more Neil Young today. Okay.